Hello everyone, my name is Jordan Lund, and today I'm going to be talking about the influenza vaccine. So what is influenza? So influenza, more commonly known as the flu, is a viral infection that attacks your respiratory system. It can be resolved on its own for a lot of people, but it can also be deadly. So some high-risk groups include children that are under 5 years old, adults over 65 years old, pregnant women, people who are obese, and more. So the symptoms are very similar to the common cold, but the flu is going to come on a lot more suddenly, whereas the common cold is kind of a slow, incremental increase in symptoms. And these symptoms include fever, achiness, headache, runny nose, sore throat, and more. As I'm sure we all know, the flu is extremely contagious. So influenza viruses infect people through the air and like droplets from coughs, sneezes, or just talking in general. So touching objects and then that have these droplets on them and then touching your eyes, nose, or mouth is a really easy way to get it. It's also pretty common to get it off of surfaces or just from talking to people who are sick and being near them. So there are multiple strains of the influenza virus. And that's because this virus is constantly adapting and constantly mutating, creating new strains. So that's why it's common for people to get it more than once. There are actually 6 different types of vaccines for the flu virus, and there are egg-based, which is going to be the most common, cell-based, and recombinant. But you'll most commonly find the egg-based flu vaccine, and those can be broken down further into 2 categories. One with inactivated virus, which is just killed virus, and then with live attenuated virus, which is just a weakened version. Despite there being so many different types of vaccines for this virus, there is one standard dose that you'll receive most commonly from your local pharmacies. So that's going to be called the Fluad Quadrivalent. It's an inactive flu vaccine, and it is also an egg-based. So for egg-based vaccines, you get candidate vaccine viruses, and those are injected into fertilized hen eggs, and those are incubated for a couple of days, allowing the viruses to replicate. Then the fluid with the viruses in the egg, and they harvest them from those eggs, then kill the virus, and then purify the virus antigen. And that's actually how they create the flu vaccine. So I'm going to be addressing now the misconceptions over the flu vaccine. I feel like there's quite a few of them just because there's just a lot of misinformation that gets spread about vaccines in general. So for one, the flu vaccine does not give you the flu. I feel like that's probably the most common one. It's going to be made with a killed version of the virus, so it cannot make you have the flu. You will maybe experience some symptoms, which is why a lot of people, I think, believe after being vaccinated that they got the flu. But these are just going to be minor symptoms, and they usually will subside in 1 to 2 days. That's just going to be your body creating antibodies against the actual virus so that when it encounters it for real, it can fight against it, and that way you won't really get sick. Next, it is not better to just get the flu instead of the vaccine. The vaccine allows your body to be introduced to the virus and become familiar with it. So without a vaccination, your response to the virus is going to be much more severe and in some cases life-threatening, as I had mentioned in a previous slide. Next is you really do need to get it every year. I know a lot of people don't like getting shots, or they think they have antibodies, or they got the flu, so they don't need to get the vaccination. It really is still important to get the vaccination just because the flu can kill people. Even if you actually got the flu and you have antibodies, one can wear off over time, and you don't really know how fast. It depends on everyone's bodies. And the virus is always going to be mutating and creating new strains. So that makes it really easy for you to get it again. And it's always just better to get vaccinated because the real flu will be a lot more severe than the vaccination symptoms that you'll experience after. And lastly, you still can get the flu despite being vaccinated. I think a lot of people in more recent times believe that, oh, I'm vaccinated, I don't know why I'm getting sick. It's still possible. Vaccines are not 100% preventative, but they lower the odds of you getting sick exponentially, and they lessen the severity of it as well. So vaccination is still a really great option. Some other preventative measures for preventing illness in general and also for the flu is going to be wash your hands, of course. Don't touch your face. Cover your coughs and your sneezes. Don't cough into your hands. Don't sneeze in your hands. Sneeze into like the crease of your elbow. And then just cleaning off surfaces, because there's really just germs everywhere, and it's always better to be safe than sorry. Thank you.